Aloha. Today I'm going to talk to you about one mistake people make selling cash secured put options. That mistake is selling something else. Selling something else is a mistake that people make selling cash secured put options. When you go to sell a cash secured put option and you deviate from that and you end up selling a naked put option or a margin put option, then you have changed the risk profile of what you were doing, and you're potentially setting yourself up for a headache. Now remember what cash secured put options are. Cash secured put options mean you have the money in your account to fulfill the legal obligation you are making. Hence the name, cash secured. This means you must limit the amount of contracts you're selling into the market. Now, when you select a stock that you wouldn't mind owning the rest of your life, if you needed to, at a strike price that you wouldn't mind buying it if you had to, then you are in the quote-unquote safest position that selling cash secured put options can give you. Trouble happens though when at times greed sneaks in. If greed sneaks in when you're getting ready to sell cash secured put options and you notice that you can make a little more money if you were to add on some contracts. But the problem is you actually don't have the cash in your account to cover 100% of the contracts you're legally obligating yourself to. If you have $500 in your account and no margin account, you just have $500 of cash, and you create the legal obligation to purchase $1,000 of stock under certain conditions, then you are selling $500 worth of cash secured put options and $500 worth of naked put options. It's kind of splitting hairs. You're selling naked put options. Your risk profile is different. They're not bad. Naked put options are good when they're used the right way. Like an airplane, it's not bad. It's good when it's used the right way. For me to hop in an airplane, that wouldn't be good. It'd be very risky. I have no training on it. If I'm trying to fly the airplane, it's not good. So the mistake of selling naked put options comes from when your original intent is to sell cash secured put options, but you start noticing some things, and then you start debating on selling a couple naked contracts also, or a whole lot of naked contracts also. If you decide to sell naked contracts from the place of greed versus the place of pre-calculated wisdom, that's a huge mistake. Stick to your initial trading plan. 96.74% of people will have to deal with their own inner greed within the first 7 to 12 contracts that you sell. That's almost everybody. 96.7% of people is almost 100%. Almost everybody within the first 7 to 12 times you sell a put option contract, which is probably going to be within the first 90 days. Probably within the first 90 days, you are almost guaranteed to need to deal with your own greed. Now, one thing I want to ask you is to read the fine print here. to see how these figures were calculated in the research done within those. Selling margin put options. This one has cost me more money than selling naked put options has. I lost double the amount of money selling margin put options than I have selling naked put options. And I think that is because selling margin put options, it has a false sense of security. Because what margin is that when you have a certain amount of money in your account and maybe a certain experience level, your broker might give you a line of credit. And this line of credit is a little different than a credit card. Because a credit card, generally speaking, a credit card, whatever your limit is, it's going to remain the same no matter what. Generally speaking. I know there's some probably circumstances where someone's credit was lowered or raised, right? But generally it's raised over time versus lowered. Well, in a margin account fluctuates depending on how much cash you have in your account and the value of the assets you have in your account. If the value of the assets you have in your account goes up, your margin credit line will go up. If the value of the assets you have in your account goes down, then that margin credit line goes down. So think about the stock market we've been dealing with lately. If you're watching this outside of April, May of 2022, it's been freaking tanking lately. So if you open up a position that obligates you to buy shares of stock at a price, and the stock market tanks, and you sell cash secured put options, as long as that company stays in business, as long as you can own that stock the rest of your life, there's ways to recoup your money. Even if the stock keeps trading below the price that you bought it at, there's ways to recoup your money. When you sell, in that same situation, if you sell margin put options, you're probably going to get a margin call, which is basically you need to start selling stock or putting more money in your account, because remember, your margin account is maybe 50%, I don't know what percent, but it has a significant amount of determination based on the value of the assets you have in the account. So if the value of the assets you have in your account are dropping, then your margin account is going to go down. So the problem can happen. Let's say you have $500 in your account and you open up you sell enough put option contracts that you are legally obligated to buy $1,000 worth of stock. In between the cash in your account and your margin account, you can do it. And it just happens to be that we're in a time like this and the stock market is tanking. So now $1,000 flows out of your account, 500 of which was yours, 500 which was borrowed. The problem can start happening if the stocks that you bought on margin and the stocks that you bought with cash, if they keep dropping, sooner or later, you don't have enough value of your assets to cover the credit line that you took out. Does it sound a little complicated and complex? If it sounds a little complicated and complex, don't do it. If you can't understand it, don't do it. If you do understand it and you are going to do it, you got to do it with the right time and just realize that I knew what I was doing and I lost a shitload of money doing this. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Sometimes we learn tough lessons. So the lesson of the margin put option is, if you're relatively new to selling put options, stick with cash secured put options. Do not let greed tempt you to change your risk profile and compromise all the benefits that selling cash secured put options give you. Naked put options, margin put options, they have their place in trading. And if you have the experience and the education to be able to navigate and mitigate the different types of risks and deal with potential bad outcomes in the moment while they're happening, then that's when you want to do them. If you don't, stick with cash secured put options. Keep learning, keep growing your account, and have some happy trading. I want to leave you with this from Andy Stanley. Greed is not a financial issue. It's a hard issue. In the stock market, learning about trading and all these type of things, most people, you're going to find a lot of information. This is like the nuts and bolts, whatever, option Greeks, how to set up like a stop loss and market limit or whatever, limit order, market order, all these different types of things, open and closing, shorting, what's an iron condor, all this type of stuff. All that stuff is good. It's needed. But this is the thing that's not talked about enough. Really dealing with your finances through the stock market or in general in life, it's here and it's here. Once you learn these general terms and techniques and things like this, it's really not that much to it. Then it's just a matter of implementing what you know and controlling your own emotions. Your emotions, let's say that's from your heart. So think about this quote. The whole time we've been talking about battling greed. And greed, it's not a financial issue. It's a heart issue. So if you are going to be battling greed, what is it you need to improve? Psst. You want to improve some stuff? I got some stuff for you on the down low. Got to keep it between you and I, though. I got 3 underused tactics YouTube's not talking about. That's why we got to keep it between you and I. If you're watching this on YouTube, we got to keep it on the DL. I don't want it plastered all over YouTube. I don't want everybody talking about these tactics. Right? We got to keep it between you and I. If everybody's using these tactics, then we don't have the unfair advantage. I want to give you the unfair advantage. I want to keep the unfair advantage for myself. Just pass it around between a couple people, right? So let's keep it on the DL. Go to ihavesuccess.com and get those 3 underused tactics. Until then, happy trading. You guys have a good time. And remember, greed is not a financial issue. It's a hard issue. So you want to get good at trading, you got to work on yourself and your emotions. Have a fantastic night.